series, winning 8-0. They scored in 6 of the 7 innings with a huge performance from their ace on the mound, Courtney White. She had 10 strikeouts and only allowed 1 hit. On the other side of things, the bright light for Michigan State came from sophomore Ashley Miller. She had 5 strikeouts, which now brings her into second for most all-time single-season strikeouts with 237. We should be seeing her today, and Michigan State is going to need another impressive showing if they look to capture a game in this series. Guys?
Thanks, Reagan. First 2 pitches as we're underway here, a 1-1 count to McCamey, who was first up for Maryland today. Maryland, who has done well offensively in this series so far. They've been in that mercy territory in each of the last 2 games. That one's fouled off back to the right. May 1st, Brendan, I couldn't believe when I looked at the calendar and saw a 5.
When did this happen?
I don't know. I really don't know.
It's funny because even last night, I was doing the, it's April 30th, like rent's coming up soon, and I goes, I got one more day though, April has 31 days, and I was sorely mistaken.
That one is grounded over to Wincher at first, who makes a play. We're finally getting some of this spring weather in Michigan. It's not going to be freezing.
Well, unfortunately for those at home and for us here at the venue, it was bright and sunny, I think literally 5 minutes ago before the first pitch, and now the clouds have come back. But nonetheless, we do have softball today, which is always a good thing.
Ashley Miller is back on in the circle, again for Michigan State today. Had a little bit of trouble on Friday. Sort of had that first inning blow up on her, and that led to 7 runs from Maryland in the top of the 3rd inning.
Yeah, and that's never going to be easy for a pitcher out there in the circle. It might hurt the confidence a little bit, but you just have to trust your stuff, know that what you've done, especially for Ashley Miller, she's been so successful this season and in her short career here at Michigan State, that she has to know she's not just one of the best pitchers on this team and players on this team, but in this conference. And you've got to trust your stuff, trust your coaches, and just go back to what you know that you do well.
McFarland lines that one through the gap in the infield and makes her way to first base, her 6th hit of this 3-game series.
McFarland starting things off well for Maryland. Just trying to get a nice slap out there to midfield. Take it one at a time, just get on base. Maryland does that so well. They have racked up runs in the series and do it this season, but they don't get them all at once. They're not a huge power-hitting team, but softball's a pretty simple game. You can only win the game if you score, and you can only score if you're on base, and that's what it's really about. It's about getting on base, and if you look at the on-base percentage of a lot of these Terrapins, they're pretty high, and that's why they've been such a successful team this year.
The 0-1 to Greco. We talked about, this is a Maryland team that is so good at running once they get on the base and so dangerous. And we saw their speed showcased Friday. We saw it showcased yesterday.
Well, McCamey, she's got 27 steals coming into this series over there on first. She is certainly a threat, and we know that Kate's back there for Michigan State is going to be ready for it.
McFarland is 1 for 2 in stolen base attempts this season so far, standing on first. Count 2-1 to Greco. That one fouled off down the left field line. Two and 2 the count to Mackenzie Greco, the lefty hitter. One of the players in this lineup that hits lefty, throws righty, works the count to full. So 3-2 for the 3rd hitter in the lineup.
Looking to be sort of defensive here, but checking to see if Miller's going to make a mistake. If she leaves a ball up, something that she can drive here. Other than that, you just got to protect the plate.
That one is grounded towards the second baseman. It hits McFarland on the way.
Yeah, so McFarland's going to be out there. She's hit by that ball that's put in play. It's still a single there for Greco.
Not something you see very often.
No, it really. Wouldn't happen. It doesn't happen as much as you would think in this sport, in both softball and baseball. But there are a couple times you just get unlucky, maybe misjudged a little bit there by McFarland. I think she kind of just was trying to really beat out the double play first and wasn't paying attention to where the ball was, and thus doesn't see it coming.
Schlotterbeck lines it right back towards Miller, and she records the third out of the inning to get out of the first unscathed. We'll go to the bottom of the first in East Lansing. She lays down a bunt right down that first baseline, but it does go foul.
That was almost a perfect bunt from Mabry, and I mean perfect. Right down the first baseline, very soft hit, and that's a ball that you look at the catcher, the pitcher, the first base girl, who goes and gets that? You don't know, really. It's kind of in an awkward spot. Mabry just a little bit of a bad bounce off the dirt, and it goes foul.
And even if it's Kylie Goff that comes and gets it from her catcher position, she has to try to throw around Mabry.
That's a really tough throw.
This time Mabry pops it up. It's Butler waving everybody off. She gets under it and makes the first out of the inning for Maryland. Try to get on base early on here. It's something that they really hardly did yesterday at all and didn't do too much of on Friday either.
Well, yeah, and that's, something we talked about, getting on base is how you're going to win these games.
Yep.
But I think a part of the bunt attempt on the first pitch and swinging on the second is right now Michigan State is running out of options in this season. They need to win these games.
Yep.
And to beat a really good team like this Maryland Terrapins team in front of them, you've got to throw them off. You've got to do things that they're not expecting. So the infield comes in a little bit after that first pitch expecting a bunt. Maybe you can hit a bloop single over their heads. Maybe you hit a line and they're out of position. She just got too far under that one for the pop out. But I like the idea there.
Callahan shows bunt again, takes that one. Third base umpire says she did not go.
Two and one hitters count for Callahan. She's got to look for a good pitch here. White is going to have to throw her one. Doesn't want to get behind 3-1. Looking for something particularly up in the zone that she can drive.
That one gets all the way through the gap in the infield. So the second batter up, and Michigan State has as many hits as they did yesterday already today.
Really good.
Well, they got 7 innings to check out what Courtney Weich has pitching-wise.
Yeah,
it looks like they're already making adjustments.
Saw a lot of her yesterday.
Yeah. Weich on in the circle for the second time in as many days. She went 7 innings, shutout, 1 hit against Michigan State yesterday.
She also complimented my outfit down there in the pregame, which I'm very excited about.
Cameron Wincher steps in now for Michigan State. Takes that one outside, 2-0, and early hitters count.
And see, this is the advantage of Courtney Callahan doing good and getting on base in the second batter of the game for Michigan State, is that now Weich is a little bit more distracted. This is something she didn't deal with yesterday. It was just 1 hit, had a perfect game through 5 2/3. She's not worried about anybody on base. She can solely focus on the batter at hand and the task at hand. Now she's just got one more thing to worry about with a runner on.
That one's in there for a strike, 2-1. Cameron Wincher with the second highest batting average in this lineup, hitting .324. Just a tad higher than that with runners on base. The 2-1. Fouled right into the Michigan State dugout. Look out.
Now, see, this is interesting because I was surprised that Weich came out to start this game for Maryland. Like you talked about, Michigan State, despite not doing well yesterday, got to see a lot of her. They saw her for the entirety of the game, and while they only had 1 hit in a game that they need to win today, now they're ready. And a telltale sign that a pitcher may not have their best stuff and maybe a little bit behind hitters is hard hit balls, whether they're outs or not. Hard hit balls, and that's what Michigan State has had so far today in the first inning.
It's a strikeout there for Cam Wincher, struck out looking. That'll bring up Alexis Barroso for MSU. Swung outside. The throw down to second is not in time. Callahan is in there safe.
Really big for Michigan State there to get Callahan into scoring position. You take away the opportunity for Maryland to get a force out on anything in the infield. Really nice job and smart coaching there by Jackie Joseph.
You surprised they didn't send her in the last at-bat and waited till this one?
No, I mean, part of it maybe trying to stay out of a double play, but I think there wasn't really – Michigan State wasn't trying to be aggressive there. More so they wanted to see what would happen and see where they could get Callahan after that at bat. But now with 2 outs, they know they need to manufacture runs, and it's more of a defensive steal almost. It's getting out of a tough situation where you have a force out at first and an easy force out at second if she's out there.
Barroso has swung on the first 2 pitches of her at-bat. It's 0-2. Connects with that one all the way out to left field, but McCalmy is under it to record out number 3 of the inning, and we'll head to the top of the second, scoreless after 1. Yeah, I mean, the humidity is tough. And luckily, Brennan, our hair is not as long or as high maintenance.
Yes. But we have had this conversation, the 3 of us, before, about how to handle our hairs. And I took Reagan's advice, did more product today, and it worked, but I am worried about the humidity later in the day.
Right, when it starts wearing off.
So we'll see by the 5th inning how it looks.
Yeah, I'm not, so when we're outside and you need the hair to stay in place, big hairspray guy. Yeah. And I'm not exactly sure how it works with humidity. I only started it, 6 months ago.
I would imagine.
It's been cold in Michigan.
Again, I talked about this yesterday during the baseball game when we were talking about the materials that the bleachers are made of. I'm not a science major. I'm a journalism major. But I can imagine humidity doesn't do well with the product you put in the hair.
Right. Especially if you're not, if you don't have the funds to invest in the top-of-the-line stuff.
Oh, please.
We're college.
We are bottom dollar here. I go to Meijer and I just start crawling, looking at the bottom shelf.
Find the number that's the lowest.
Yeah.
Kayla Jones stands in there and takes a ball with an 0-2 count. It was Okada that led off the inning. She's on first. In the top of the second, this is where the scoring started for Maryland yesterday, and then they did it in 6 straight innings. A little bit different than what they did on Friday, scoring all 7 in 1 inning. Well, Jones makes contact there. Ladd gets under it. There's out number 1.
That's exactly what Michigan State needs. We essentially know that Okada's going to get on base.
In steps Ruby Butler. She's 3 for 5 in this series so far, has an RBI.
She got a good pitch right there, too. Miller's lucky that she was a little bit behind on that one to foul it off. Up in the zone, fastball. That's one of those ones you can groove if you're a hitter.
Mark Montgomery, the head coach for Maryland, working third base today. That one was straight down the middle. Strike 2.
You can see on that practice swing there from Butler. She chokes up way up on the bat, trying to get that muscle memory of a short swing now. Now behind 0-2, you got to be defensive. Anything that you think is near the zone, you got to swing at, but you got to keep that swing short and sweet. Get contact on that ball.
That one just outside, 1-2 now.
She's still going for that short swing here, 1-2. Miller still has room to play with, can still really essentially put this ball anywhere, and with 1 out, I expect it to be low, try to get her to ground into a double play and get Michigan State out of the inning.
The 1-2. Looks like it might have been a strike
Just
there,
missed the zone if it didn't.
Okada is 8 for 8 on the season in stolen bases so far, so she does have some speed down there on first base too. Butler takes the 2-2. Fouls it off, stays alive.
Yeah, we could see her running here, especially with 2 strikes. We know that Butler's going to have to swing at anything in the zone. Like we talked about, Miller's going to try to keep it low. Michigan State wants a double play here. If Okada can get to second, she can essentially make that plan moot.
Butler, who hits 260 on the season, lines that one towards the second baseman Ladd. Over to first to get out number 2. Okada moves her way to second.
You're not trying to get all 3 outs at once. Triple plays don't happen. Double plays are also still pretty rare. Just try to get 1 out at a time. 1 batter, next batter. Don't worry about the runner on second. Don't worry about however many hits you've given up. Just go 1 at a time down the line.
In comes Kylie Goff, possible distant relative of Detroit Lions quarterback Jared.
How much longer is he
going to do some digging on that?
How much longer? Yeah. I would. Can we get the Ancestry.com?
Right.
Who's going to pay for it? Do you want to split it? I know it's expensive. I think that stuff
just debating if that,
is it even worth it?
Right.
Because how much longer? But my question was, how much longer is Goff going to be that quarterback?
That's a good point. I think a lot of people thought Lions would take Malik Willis.
I didn't want that,
in the
but
second round.
I like the class that's coming in next year. I'll tell you that.
Bryce Young,
C.J. Stroud, despite the colors he wears in the school he goes to, I like his talent at quarterback. I wouldn't mind having a Heisman candidate as or a Heisman winner, I should say, as my NFL quarterback.
Wouldn't hurt. That one is ball 2. It counts 2-1 with 2 outs. Top of the second for Kylie Goff. Hitting .312 on the year and almost identical with runners in scoring position. Two hits so far today total from Maryland. The 2-1 in there for strike 2.
It's a really big strike for Ashley Miller. Behind in the count, 2-1. Desperately trying to get out of this inning. You've got to throw Goff a good pitch, and she's going to be ready for that. But you don't want to give her something that she can put in play and bring Okada home. And Miller did a nice job keeping that one low. A tough spot for Goff to hit it.
The 2-2. Miller got her. Just in the outside of the zone, but strikeout. Number 1 of the day for Ashley Miller to retire the Maryland side, and she's scoreless through 2. We'll head to the bottom of the second as we get going in the bottom of the second. Katie Ladd up to bat. It was her senior day on Friday, and she lines the first pitch right out into the center field. A leadoff single for Ladd. In steps Kendall Cates. She was the designated player on Friday. She's the catcher today. Hitting .240 on the season, but just .189 with runners on base. But there's no outs here in the bottom of the second for Michigan State as they look to try to take Game 3 of the series with Maryland. That one inside, ball 2.
Cates ahead in the count, 2-0, just 10 walks this year. It's another opportunity to get an 11th right here. Just got to be patient. It's really, I almost want to say anxiety-inducing. You know, you get anxious when you see that runner on first, nobody out. You want to step up and make a play, but you just have to be patient and wait for the right pitch.
That one is fouled down the third baseline. Take the count to 2-1. Big cut there from Cates. So now from 2-0, the count is 2-2.
Case was trying to drill that one into the Red Cedar River, and no surprise, kind of like we talked about. That's a good pitch to do it, just a little bit outside, but that's when you can put the barrel on and really rattle the other way probably. 2-1, she knew she was going to get a good one from Weich.
Here comes the 2-2. They try to go down to first, but Ladd was able to get back in time, and it was a called ball. So full count now on Kendall Cates.
Now Weich is going to try to keep this ball low, probably away in the zone, to make sure that if she can induce a swing from Cates, it's going to be a grounder. Doesn't want to leave anything up.
Contact made down the third baseline, but it was Jones who misplayed it, still able to get Cates at first base. Ladd will make her way to second. Even better, they might have been able to turn a double play there, Maryland. Well, instead, Katie Ladd at second now.
And also, if she had played it a fraction of a second worse, I think Cates might have been safe at first. That was a bang-bang play over there.
Now we'll see Zaquai Dumas leads this Michigan State team in home runs this year with 7.
Yeah, Dumas just has power loaded into that bat. So much pop, as we say in the sport. And the ball really does just fly off of her bat sometimes. And you can see she does take swings out there to, she swings for the fences, no doubt. But with a .333 slugging percentage, it kind of comes natural to her a little bit too.
1-1. Takes that one, and they try to pick off Ladd at second, and the throw goes into the outfield. I think Ladd thought she had a lot less time than she did, so she slid into third.
Well, that's a great heads-up play by Ladd. I don't know whether she was planning to go to third if they tried to pick her off back at second, or if it was just reactionary and she kind of just was running away from the ball. But either way, she moves now much closer to home plate with a really good opportunity for Michigan State to get on the board with, as we mentioned, one of their best power hitters at the dish.
Dumas puts that one into right field. Making the catch is Burkowski. Ladd will come across to score, and it's an RBI for Dumas. Michigan State take the lead in the bottom of the second, as Mackenzie Meach will come in to pinch hit. She pops that one out into left field. Makami is under it, and it'll end the inning for Michigan State, but not before they record the first run of the game. We'll go to the top of the third with Michigan State up 1-0 over Maryland here in East Lansing. Yeah, thanks, Reagan. Really awesome show of support by the players here today.
Sometimes it's bigger than the sport, bigger than the rivalry, the matchup, and I think you put it well, Ian. It is awesome to see them show that support. It was Military Appreciation Day over at baseball yesterday. Those are always fun days, too. It's nice that we can do things like this that, like we said, are bigger than the sport.
I think with college athletics, too, in terms of the actual athletes, it's sort of fraternal almost, that no one really understands the life of a college athlete unless you're a college athlete, right?
I think that's a really good way to put it. That obviously we know they're busy. We know they got a lot to do, classes, practice, training, off season, all that stuff. But until you're really in that position, until you've done it, you'll never be able to understand.
No.
And they go through so much. And it doesn't matter what sport you play. It doesn't matter how good your team is. That is a huge commitment, and there's a lot that goes into being a college student athlete. And it's a hard thing to do.
Burkowski stays alive again, fouling that one off in a 1-2 count. Only 57 at-bats so far this season for her. 13 hits, 8 RBIs.
8 RBIs, though, and just that few, just 57 at-bats. That's not bad. Shows that when put in good positions to succeed, she will take advantage of those. And obviously right now she's just trying to get things started in this inning for Maryland. But to have someone like that at the bottom of the order, or if there's people on in front of her, she's able to bring them home, it's a huge advantage. Usually you have that in the middle or near the top of your order.
That one is high from Miller, so a full count now, 3-2 to Burkowski.
This is exactly what Burkowski wants. We talked about she's just trying to get things started. 3-2 count. She can either induce a walk here or look for a good pitch to put in play.
That one grounded to Ladd at second. Out number 1. That'll bring us back to the top of the Maryland order. Megan McCamey swings on the first pitch, and almost getting there is Mabry, but it gets beyond her. McCamey is going to round third, and they're waving her home, going for the inside the park home run, and she slides in there safe. Wow. Talk about speed. Megan McCamey, inside the park home run.
Yeah, when that ball was flown out to center and Mabry went down for it, it seems like she was just a half a second late in her reaction. The ball kind of froze her, and those are really hard to judge when they come right at you out there in the outfield, especially, I know the ball's yellow, but especially on a gray kind of cloudy day like today, it's hard to see. And when Mabry dove for that one and it got under, we knew how much speed McCamey had. We talked about it already. We knew that was trouble, and she took advantage. Maryland showed no signs of slowing up. They're going to be aggressive as we've seen this series, and it results in a run.
So tie game now. That was McFarland that just...
And now if you're Michigan State, if you want to play the hindsight game, which I'm sure you don't want to do, if Mabry doesn't dive for that ball out in center, that's probably a double play grounder right there that McFarland just hit, and you're out of the inning still with a lead. But I like the aggressive play from Mabry, trying to make the play, and that's an emotional play. If you make that diving catch, Maryland's already got a diving catch today. If you make that diving catch that fires your team up, they're behind you. It heightens the emotions of this game, in which Michigan State is kind of already playing with a little bit of emotions, trying to get into this Big Ten tournament that they're hosting here at Sekia Stadium.
2-0. Fouled down the third baseline by Mackenzie Greco. A .319 hitter on the year, Greco. Hits .357 when she's up to bat with 2 outs. Now the count is 2-2.
It's just a heightened pressure situation with 2 outs, and she clearly feeds off of that pressure.
We're here in the top of the third now, and that's when Maryland scored all their runs on Friday, all 7 of them. This one is ripped down the first baseline. It stayed fair. Greco will make her way to second, and she's in there safe, sliding.
Well, as we just talked about, Maryland can do some damage in the third inning, and now we've got an inside the park home run and a double. And we were talking about Greco in pressure situations with 2 outs. It's higher than her regular batting average, and there's just another example of it. She's a player who doesn't shy away from the pressure or the nervousness. You got to feed off of it. You got to use that energy, that weird feeling you get in your stomach, use it to better stuff. And that's what she did.
So that'll extend the inning and bring up Trinity Schlotterbeck, the pitcher we saw on Friday, the designated player now today. She's hitting just under 230, but hitting under, her average is under 100 with runners in scoring position. That pitch is high, 1-1.
Which is really a surprise from someone that you put in the 4 slot as the cleanup hitter.
Yep.
But she's the designated hitter today because she can really only focus on hitting. You know, it takes a lot of pressure off when she's not out there in the circle or out there in the field, and she can really just focus on increasing hitting. So, yeah, she's got a 149 batting average, you know, with runners in scoring position. But now this is a chance for her to get that number up, you know. So when that number is already down, the only way you can get it up is by being put in that spot, and that's what she's doing right here.
Grounded out to Cameron Wincher at first base back in the first inning. Kind of a half swing there that's fouled off. So now the count will go to 2-2.
Well, yeah, that's a check swing that I think she thought was going to be over the heart of the plate, and Miller had that ball curving back inside. And that's where you see it hit the nub of the bat almost. Wouldn't say the nub, but up near the hands, and she was behind on it. It went foul.
2 outs in the top of the third. Runner on second. Fouls that one off again. It'll stay 2-2. Miller getting ready to deliver. Swing and a miss to end the inning. But not before Maryland tacked on a run of their own. An inside the park homer for Megan McCamey has this thing tied at 1 apiece. We'll head to the bottom of the third, knotted at 1. Little family dynamic in the green and white.
And don't be mistaken, because she's her niece, Abby Joseph, has found a way onto Jackie Joseph's squad. She has certainly earned the right to be here. A senior, has played in 32 games this year. 235 average, 8 runs, has brought in 4 RBIs, slugs it at 353. She does some damage in the bottom of the order for Michigan State.
She shows bunt, but pops it up right back to Winch. Route number 1.
Michigan State can kind of keep that momentum they had from the last time up here in the third.
Jessica Mabry back up to bat, popped out back in the first inning. Which's second pitch is outside the zone. It'll move it to 1-1. Of course, White was phenomenal yesterday, and she's coming off a week where she was named the Big Ten Pitcher of the Week and the first one ever for Maryland. Had 10 strikeouts yesterday. Has 1 today. Thrown just over 30 pitches through the first 2 1/3.
Yeah, and I still am just surprised that Maryland went with her in the circle to start today. Maybe she could come in relief, or maybe this is her last inning. We don't really know the strategy yet from their head coach, Anderson, but Michigan State clearly feels like they have a little bit more of an advantage. They seem a lot more aggressive, a lot more confident at the dish today.
That one is hit towards short. Butler's over there to make the play, but the throw isn't in time. So to start the day off for MSU. Left fielder hitting .288 on the season. This Michigan State lineup, the first 5 batters, all over 115 appearances, and then it drops off a little bit. Nobody with more than 84 in the last 4 spots.
Yeah, that's a team-wide thing for Michigan State, and you're just trying to give other players opportunities, try out different looks throughout the entire course of a season. There's so many, with 9 players you can have to start the game. There's so many different combinations you can do, not just players, but where they hit, where they field, la-di-da-di-da, the list goes on. And that's what happens when you don't have a team as deep, like a Maryland per se, who's got, 4 or 5 hitters that hit above 300.
Yeah.
Those players, you can throw them at the top of the lineup, and that's how you're going to be successful. For Michigan State, when you're not that deep, you've got to move pieces around. Try to find something special that works, maybe something that you wouldn't think would work does. And that's where you get, a heavy top of the lineup with experience, and then the bottom half is really just trying to earn those reps and be in a good position to help out the team.
That one's in there for a strike, so 2-2 the count. Goff thought about the throw down to first, where Jessica Mabry is standing. 6 for 8 on stolen bases this year, Mabry.
Might be a going situation here. 2 strikes, 1 out. Don't want to double play.
Callahan watches that one go by her, and it's strike number 3. And
batting average heavy, I should say, and power heavy. And if you're Weich, who is clearly not having the day today like she did yesterday, a perfect game through 5 2/3, it's exciting. It pumps you up. It boosts that confidence quite a bit when you can strike out those 2 and 3 hitters, especially when you catch them looking. You knew you just threw a dirty one right there, and they were not ready for it.
Cameron Wincher was that other strikeout, came back in the first inning. So 2 outs now for Weich in the bottom of the 3rd. Goes Mabry down to second, and she's caught out. Really nice play from Goff and Butler to catch Mabry and make the 3rd out of the inning.
It's hard to say. Obviously, we know that Michigan State does not have the best conference record, and they've struggled their way through the season. But they are by no means a bad softball team, and I think that's where Jackie Joseph was going. But the best teams are going to win more of those games and not have such a huge discrepancy, 3-16 to 82-47, between those 2 records. And Michigan State really, they've gotten unlucky, too. They've had some really close calls and some tough games. They've ran into buzzsaws. They've had teams have career and program high days against them. And they have had a really top-heavy schedule in the Big Ten. They've played some of the best teams early on in the year. And that's never a good way to set up the rest of the year when you start off. They had that big losing streak back in February. That doesn't bode well for the confidence of your team the rest of the year. So you've got to find little bits and pieces to kind of remedy that situation.
Marissa Trival-Peace is in at shortstop today. Right behind Ashley Miller. The 2-1 to Okada is lined to Trival-Peace, but she misplays that one. That'll go down as an error, and Okada is on base for the 2nd time today.
Okada just finding ways to get on base. Sometimes you just get a little bit lucky, too. We talked about how good she is. We know she's going to get on base one way or another. That's partially an error because it's a hard hit ball.
Up comes Michaela Jones. Popped out back in the 2nd. She shows bunt right away. Barroso comes in on her. Instead, she'll take that pitch, and it was a ball, 1-0.
Maryland here is just trying to move Okada 60 feet closer to home right now. Not trying to do too much.
Line down the 3rd base line, but it went foul just before getting to 3rd base. Jones hitting .333 for the season. And that's actually her exact same average with runners on as well.
Slugging the ball, too, at .508.
Lays down a bunt. She's out at first. It'll move Okada over to second with one out in the top of the fourth.
I'm honestly surprised that that's take a shot and see if she can get a good pitch to go deep. Instead, you do move Okada 60 feet closer, but you suffer an out, too.
Okada 100% on stolen base attempts this year so far. She's got 8.
Yeah, she'll just be holding on second right here. She can move up with a sacrifice attempt maybe.
Nice pitch in there from Miller to make it 1-1. One out for Miller in the top of this fourth inning. Butler hits .257 and .355 with runners in scoring position. Ball high, 2-1. Butler drives that one to Ladd, who's getting a lot of action today and makes another put out for out number 2 of the inning, and Okada makes her way over to third base with 2 outs.
Come on, play.
It'll bring up Kylie Goff, 309 on the season, 300 with runners in scoring position. It's a little bit over 315 with 2 outs as well. A base hit will score Okada from third. Count is 1-1. Strike 2 in there, 1-2.
That's a nice pitch from Ashley Miller. Really good placement, low and away. Can't really put a good swing on that one to put it anywhere in play that Goff is going to like. And now she gets ahead in the count, too.
1 strike away from ending the fourth inning, but that one is outside, so the count evens up.
Yeah, she's just trying to get Goff to chase right there, see if she can get out of the inning with kind of an easy pitch. That's a breaking ball that's not supposed to be anywhere near the plate. And if she can get lucky, Goff might chase that one, but Kylie Goff knows better than that.
The 2-2. Swung on to Trival Piece, and she makes up for her error earlier on in the inning to end the top of the fourth with no damage done. For Michigan State, we head to the bottom of the fourth at second.
Dynamic in softball and baseball when you look at home and road splits.
That one is lined into left field. Cameron Wincher with a first pitch single.
Wall that you got to hit over if you're an opposing hitter. You're not used to that. If you're an outfielder, you're not used to running up that hill and making plays. So it's surprising that Maryland, despite the differences in each ballpark, like you said, can kind of double up that record and be 10-5 on the road.
And according to our wonderful sideline reporter, Reagan Holgate, there's Maryland fans here all the way from California today.
California, that is.
It's a long way.
I would like to hear that story from them. That road map. How you're a Maryland fan out in California. That's almost as far as you can get side to side, right?
I mean, we know that the Ladd sisters are from California.
Yeah.
They have a lot of family here this weekend as Katie Ladd was being honored with her senior day back on Friday. Rosa was showing a bunt, and that'll work the count to 1-2. Nobody out, and Wincher on first.
might be a squeeze situation for Michigan State where they're trying to get Barroso on base. This is not necessarily just a sacrifice bunt. They think she has the speed to maybe make it all the way over there to first and beat the play.
That one dribbles towards third base, and Barroso will be out, but she does move Wincher up to second. And it'll actually be Brooke Schneider on second, pinch running. She makes her way to third after that base hit by Katie Ladd, and Katie Ladd already has a 2-hit day. Runners on the corners with only one out for MSU.
Katie Ladd in her final home series.
So now Kendall Cates will come up to bat. Brooke Schneider on third, Katie Ladd on first, and she steals second. The infield came in, and Katie Ladd had a free pass to make her way to second base.
Yeah, that's the advantage of Michigan State, like we talked about back at the start of this game. Trying to throw Maryland off a little bit. So you show the bunt. Ladd does a really good, smart base running decision to see the infield in front of her, know that nobody's going to be able to get over to second, and just take it free.
That's her 10th stolen base of the year.
And Ian, I do have that number for you. That's 4 first pitch swings today for Michigan State that have resulted in either a hit or a put out. 3 of them hits.
And they're in a position that they like once again. Just one out with runners on second and third for the catcher today, Kendall Cates. Grounded out back in that second inning. Michigan State in business once again. White's trying to work out of a jam. The 1-1 in there for strike number 2.
Charles McManus, the home plate umpire today. Thought he might have expanded the zone a little bit there. I thought that one was a little bit outside. But White does a good job. She's going to earn the benefit of the doubt. She sends those breaking balls, those fastballs near the corners.
Did she go? The umpires say no, so Cates will stay alive after that check swing. Works the count to 2-2.
Honestly, think Cates might have gotten a little bit. No, she stayed back, actually. It's a great replay from our crew right there. She stays back, and she knew it, too. Kylie Goff, the catcher back there, tried to get away with one. And even Goff might have known it. That's how it goes when you play a sport. You might know you're wrong, but if you can get away with one, you'll do everything you can.
That time she swings all the way through. That's driven to right field. Snyder will tag up on third and make her way home. It's a sacrifice fly from Kendall Cates, and Michigan State retake the lead.
Getting runners on and away from first base by Katie Ladd taking that spot. Cameron Wincher was able to move up. You know, with only one out and you have runners in scoring position, you can move them around the base path, kind of like we talked about in the other inning with Maryland. Not sure why they sacrificed that out with a runner on first and the sack bunt play, because then you just give up another out. Michigan State aggressive in these at-bats, trying to not just move runners up, but move them further and further down the path.
And that brings up Saquai Dumas. She has 2 outs, but there is Katie Ladd on third base, and we know the power that Dumas has in that bat. Swung on the first one, fouled it off into the net behind.
How much would it fire up this crowd if she could do one here?
Man.
It does feel like not only does she have that power, but a lot of them have come in clutch spots too, and this would be a big one. 2 outs, momentum already building. Your senior Ladd on the path, trying to come home. No better time for Saquai Dumas.
The 1-1. Just low, 2-1 now. That one is fouled off just in front of Dumas. So now the count is 2-2 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. Michigan State has retaken the lead. Katie Ladd is on third.
Dumas had the hitter's count there, 2-1, and she tried to take advantage of it. That ball just sharply dove a little bit right at the end, just before the plate. Dumas caught it on the bottom of the barrel. Pitch was up, though. Dumas was ready to drive it. Needs the same attitude here.
Swing and a miss. Weich gets out of a sticky situation with Ladd on third.
Look, like one of the best teams in the Big Ten. I think this is a team who has a really good opportunity in this Big Ten tournament coming up here in the next few weeks to come back to Sekia Stadium here and come away with some hardware.
We've got some good pieces on this team. That was McCommy's inside the park home run back in the top of the 3rd. Jada McFarland was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year last year. She's not the only one that is having another good year this year for the Terps.
And McCommy just trying to get on base again for Maryland. Use that speed. Obviously, we already saw it earlier with the inside the park home run.
That one is lined right to Trival Piece.
See, even that one, that's a hard hit ground ball to short. And McCommy's only 3 or 4 steps away from being safe. Now, that's really not super close, but man, she is speedy out there.
And you just see right after she got out, as she made her way back to McFarland, just those couple of words exchanged with McCommy and McFarland.
Yeah, Maryland's been doing that all series. That's just a little bit, it's like an impromptu scouting report, but that's the most up-to-date scouting report you're going to get. She's telling her what she saw from Miller on the mound, where maybe she thinks there's an opportunity. It's kind of like poker. Maybe you see a tell a little bit, a twitch of the finger, rubbing of the hand, something. Anything that you could do to give your teammate an advantage that you just saw in the last at-bat, you got to tell her right there.
McFarland drives this one to Ladd. Really well fielded in a 1-2-3 top of the 5th inning for Ashley Miller. Michigan State is rolling right now, up 2-1 as we head to the bottom of the 5th inning.
Michigan State's got to find a way to dance in that.
Mackenzie Meach once again pinch hitting for Marissa Trival Piece. Meach hitting .212 on the season. First pitch, a called ball. Meach down the first baseline. It stays fair, and Borkowski can't make the catch. Meach all the way to second, standing up with a lead-off double.
Big, another opportunity for Michigan State right here. Abby Joseph, the bottom of the order, but Michigan State one batter away from flipping it around to the top.
So Trival Piece will come back on to run, and Joseph comes up to bat, shows bunt right away. Joseph doesn't have the highest average on the team, but she is hitting .500 with runners in scoring position this season.
And almost .400 just with runners on. Again, a huge advantage to have someone like that at the bottom of the order.
Yep. The 0-1 as she shows bunt once again. And there for a strike this time. Weich's pitch count is up over 60 in the bottom of the 5th. And a nice bunt laid down by Joseph. That'll get Trival Piece to third. She's out at first as Joseph, but it's job done getting Tribal Peace all the way to third base. And we'll go back to the top of the order for MSU. Jessica Mabry is on, has one hit already today, back in the third inning. Swings on that first pitch, but it's lined and flown out to foul territory.
I don't know how much longer White is going to be out here for Maryland. A lot of first pitch swings. We talked about it last inning, Ian. 2 already in this inning. Michigan State clearly likes what they see in the circle, and they're ready for whatever White is throwing them. They've got a chance to put more on the board here as well.
Mabry holds off on that one. It's a called ball, 1-1. Three strikeouts on the day for White after she had 10 yesterday. How big would one be here for her? Here's the 1-1. Swung on and fouled off by Mabry, so 1-2 now.
Well, she's had other strikeouts today that have been huge to get Michigan State and get Maryland, I should say get Maryland out of tough positions and put Michigan State's momentum on hold. She's no stranger to a situation like this and performing in those situations. 2 of her 3 strikeouts today have ended the inning for Michigan State.
That one is over the head of Goff, but she's able to recapture it and keep Tribal Peace on third.
That is lucky for White. They string those nets nice and tight so that those balls have no chance of hitting anybody near the field of play. And if that net is any looser, I think there's a chance that Tribal Peace comes home from third there. That ball flew back off the netting.
The 2-2. Fouled off once more. Mabry hitting just under 300 on the year. Pops that one up over the fence, and it's fouled off. Almost hits our former colleague Ian Kress there at the camera.
Yeah. Waved hi to Ian the other day, earlier today I should say. You always find Ian in and around East Lansing, especially at sporting events, doing some good work.
Especially Michigan State sporting events.
Missed the days when he was doing that work for us, but he's on to bigger and better things now.
So once again, the count 2-2 for Jessica Mabry. Fouled off again. She stays alive.
Mabry's
working
doing
through this at-bat.
Really good job. That's 3 fouls this at-bat. I believe we're up to a 6-pitch at-bat now. And with 2 strikes, that's really annoying for Cameron White. She's just trying to get out of this inning, and that starts with getting Mabry out. Mabry's the top of the order for Michigan State. And she keeps fouling him off and fouling him off. It tells you she's seeing the ball well, just not quite able to find it in a good spot. It's really hard for White to stay in this at bat and put it in a good place.
Guess what?
Another foul ball. Mabry is fighting for her life right now, and that's exactly what you want to see if you're Jackie Joseph. She's staying in there, hanging tough, trying to get a good pitch, keeping everything alive, though, as well. White just throwing her best stuff here. That's what she's trying to do. She's trying to mix it up. She's gone up in the zone. She's gone down in the zone. She's gone fast, and she's gone off speed, all in this at-bat. And Mabry still stands facing her.
Once more. Just high. Full count now.
All of that, and now you know what Cameron White has to do? Pitch to Jessica Mabry again. That's why you stay alive with those foul balls.
One out with Tribal Peace on third. Popped high into the air, right on the edge of the infield, and that's maybe worst case scenario if you're Michigan State.
Yeah, after all those pitches, seeing that ball go sky high and you get to point your finger up and pick it out of the sky for one of your infielders to bring down.
Callahan with a big swing on her first pitch. One is low, 1-1. Tribal Peace stands on third base with 2 outs for Michigan State. They're up 2-1 here in the bottom of the 5th.
Callahan hits it at 310 with runners in scoring position. That's a good number. Single and caught looking once already today.
Takes that one just out of the zone, 2-1.
Tell you what, though, White's left that one high above the zone a little bit, but that's not a bad pitch for Callahan. You don't want anything low here. You need something you can drive on a line to the gaps. This infield has been really good today for Maryland, and they've been able to make some plays on some ground balls that have been kind of tough. Nothing too spectacular.
That
But
one was
also,
just a little low.
As I say that, Callahan has worked it to 3-1, so maybe it's good she didn't swing. She probably knows more what she's doing than I do, so.
Just a tad.
As I was saying yesterday during the baseball call, my playing experience is limited to middle school and MLB The Show on Xbox in the past 2 weeks, so.
Swing and a miss there from Callahan to work it to a full count. 3-2 with 2 outs. Courtney White trying to get out of the bottom of the 5th inning without any damage done. Tribal Peace stands on third. White gets ready to deliver. Fouled off.
Hard
Callahan
hit
stays alive.
foul, though.
The 3-2 once again. Outside, Callahan will make her way to first base on a walk, so that'll extend the inning and put runners on the corners for MSU with 2 outs. It will be Wincher. Excuse me, I said Barroso, but it is the first baseman. Wincher up to bat.
Because any tough ground balls, anything right back to the pitcher, anything that's maybe chopped and dies just a few feet in front of that batter's box, is going to be a hard play at first. And if Tribal Peace decides to come home, now she doesn't have to run here. She can hold off and wait at third and bring up the next batter, Barroso, if Michigan State can survive. But if she does decide to go, with Callahan on first, Maryland can just go right back to home.
And it's an easy play to end the inning for White with no damage done. Michigan State's lead will stay at 1 for now as we head towards the top of the 6th inning.
And almost greatly increases their chances to get to the tournament, and that helps Michigan State a lot. Now Rutgers has an extra loss. Michigan State leading right here has a chance to go up a game heading into that Rutgers series and really be at the advantage. If they're up a game and they're at the helm when that series starts, that puts all the pressure on Rutgers to try to come back and win those games. If it's tied, it's even, and both teams are facing the same amount of pressure. Who knows which team is going to crack under that situation?
Michigan State do have the lead here in the 6th inning from Sekia Stadium in East Lansing. They've been blown out the last 2 days, but they have a lead finally against the Terps. Mackenzie Greco is out at first. Barroso with a nice play there from third base. Getting it over to Winchert. Mark Montgomery just had a little meeting with the umpire, as we'll have a pinch hitter for the Terps. Regan Kerr.
Hitter, 32 games played, only 6 started for Maryland this year. She's only got 31 at-bats. That 194 average is not really indicative nor accurate. 31 at-bats is significantly lower than a lot of players on this Maryland roster. 7 RBIs in that time, though, and 3 walks. Those are good numbers. A good place to start for Regan Kerr.
She was 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter yesterday. She had 1 run on Friday in 2 at-bats. Fouls that one off. .176 average on the season. 14 strikeouts and 34 at-bats.
Did that? I think that hit the nub of the bat, but I don't know, did it touch her hands?
She came off as though she did, and Mark Montgomery is very animated. Well, so it is 1-2 to Regan Kerr. Fouls that one off.
Maybe that's not a foul because she doesn't swing at it, and it would have been a ball, clearly, if she didn't swing.
Yeah.
And she didn't. Interesting. I don't see
So
how that's not a hit by pitch. I don't see how it's not. I really don't. I think she should be at first right now. Because without the inch diameter of that nub of the bat, that ball squarely hits her. If that ball is anywhere else, you know? So I think while it may not have hit her, in that situation, the assumption can be that if it weren't for the nub of a baseball bat, it would have.
Yeah. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. Ashley Miller strikes her out, her 3rd of the day.
It's a big break for Michigan State. Miller was, as we talked about, inches away from having Kerr be on first with only 1 out. It's a nice pitch, though. A little sliding ball at the end there. Kerr was just above it. Clearly thought that thing was going to stay up in the zone, and it didn't.
Miller is quietly putting together a very nice day so far. 5 2/3, just 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts. Now it's Taylor Okada, who is at the plate, 1 for 2 today. Had a single back in the 2nd inning.
Reached on that error as well in the 4th.
Lines that one back to Wincher at first base. And another 1, 2, 3 inning for Ashley Miller. Spartans ahead by 1 still as we head towards the bottom of the 6th. Comes up to bat. Swings at the first pitch through the gap in the infield, and a no-out single for Barroso to lead off the inning. It was Barroso that reached first base, but it'll be Kaylee Roper pinch running for her. With Katie Ladd up to bat, 0-1.
Ladd, good day so far. She's stolen 2 bases and 2 singles. Scored a run as well. Exactly what you want if you're a senior. And no better time for her to hit a clutch one, huh?
The 1-1 from Schlotterbeck. Ladd checks her swing. First base umpire says she does not go. I don't think that one was really close at all.
I don't think it was either.
So 2-1 now. Ladd shows bunt again, this time fouls it off. Schlotterbeck was in the batting order today in that 4 spot as the designated player. We saw her a couple times at the plate.
Well, she had a really good day on Friday. Got a pretty good ERA, 12-11, has forced a lot of decisions this year for Maryland.
Ladd dribbles that one down the third baseline, trying to make her way over to third, but not in time. Greco will get her out, but Roper makes her way over to second base with 1 out.
A 1-run lead. You're 1 bad pitch away from the entire game being changed and your entire strategy and thought process.
Kate swings at the first one. Little short pop out to Okada. It was Cates that has the RBI that put Michigan State in the lead back in the 4th inning as Akwai Dumas steps in.
We kind of talked about it earlier, but this always feels like a spot where Dumas likes to be, feeds off of that pressure. She's had
Has
big
she been
hits.
up with 2 outs every time today? 'Cause I know she was the last time.
No, back in the 2nd, she was the 2nd out.
Okay.
But yeah, back in the 4th, you're correct. She was up with 2 outs. But she hasn't been up with no outs yet. So that's
Right.
a different approach you got to take as a hitter when you step into that batter's box. Knowing the situation, how many outs there are, affects how you go into an at-bat and what you're trying to do. It will affect the type of swing you have. With 2 outs, you're going to take a short, compact swing, just try to put it in play anywhere you can. With no outs, you might be a little bit more loose up there. Look for a nice pitch, get that long swing, get the torque on that bat, and you know, drive it out of the ballpark, something Zaquai Dumas does so well. But with 2 outs here and a runner in scoring position, she is really going to do everything she can to put this ball through one of those gaps, preferably the one between right field and center. Go a little bit the other way.
The 1-2. Outside, Goff feigns the throw to second, so 2-2 now for Dumas, who started the scoring for Michigan State in the 2nd. A couple of sac flies are the reason that Michigan State is ahead in this one.
Is that how you actually say that term, feigns? No, it's a
Feigns.
soccer term.
Yeah.
Because isn't it spelled with a T?
No, it's F-E-I-G-N.
Oh.
Feign.
I thought there was
Right?
a T or a D at the end.
Is that, maybe it's, is that faint? Like,
But have you played that? Have you seen that game where people fake throwing the ball to each other? Isn't that what it's called?
yes.
Yeah. Have
Yeah,
you played
I have.
that?
No,
You any
I
good?
haven't.
Really?
No, it looks fun though.
It does.
every
I want to
time.
try
And
it.
You can't like go to catch it. And,
Yeah, it's
right.
like you fake throw the ball to the guy next to you, and if they've raised their arms to catch it.
Dumas drills that one into right field, but Borkowski is there to make the catch this time. So Maryland with one last chance to try to tie this one up or take the lead. We head to the top of the 7th after this.
A Trent Farquhar 3-run homer to put them up 4-3. That's big. That's another Michigan State baseball. They're fighting. They were only 2 games back as of yesterday in the 8th spot for the Big Ten tournament, which is only 8 teams make it on the baseball side. So they're also fighting for a spot to play in the postseason.
This is Maryland's last chance here at the top of the 7th. Here's Mackenzie Jones up for the 3rd time today. Ashley Miller trying to complete her complete game. Has only given up 1 run today.
Well, that's
it was
what
on an inside the park home run, so
really not. Yeah,
really not
you
her
know,
fault. Did she give up the hit? Yes, but
right. But also that's, yeah, that's a hit. But Mabry made the gutsy call to try to dive for that ball, and that's what resulted in the inside the park home run. That one really doesn't necessarily fall on the shoulders of Ashley Miller. And while it does go in as an earned run, that could really go either way for a score.
Yeah.
They gave it a hit, but that really could have been an error. But, I mean, we talked about her. That's why Ashley Miller was our key player for Michigan State. Maryland's racked up runs in this series, and Michigan State needed to be defensive today and not let Maryland get the bats going. And Ashley Miller's done that. 6 innings pitched, just 4 hits. We talked about the 1-1. 3 strikeouts, hasn't walked anybody yet. It goes in the box score as a home run too, but that's not over the fence. She's been fantastic today for Michigan State.
But she does give up the first walk of the day here in the top of the 7th, so the tying run is on first base for Maryland.
That darn announcer's jinx. Every and I don't know if you know what your track record with that is, but I've called some Michigan State basketball and
how much would she like one right now? Swings on the first pitch. Could be a double play for Michigan State. They got one, just a little bit late on the other. Really good base running from Butler to get there in time. So 1 out and a runner on first for Maryland.
Michigan State had the prototype of the perfect scenario, almost had the 4-6-3 double play, but still they get an out, keep a runner out of scoring position, keep him as far back on the base path as possible.
Kylie Goff, 1 for 5 this weekend as she steps in against Ashley Miller. Runner on first, she swings and fouls off the first pitch. The 0-1. High, 1-1.
Miller's trying to do the same thing here that she just did in the last at-bat. Induce a ground ball, game-ending double play. Big spot here. Miller has kind of fed off those this season and just in her career.
That one was a really nice pitch right down the middle, 1-2. Maryland's dugout has been loud all game. They are enthusiastic as it gets.
They need to be loud here, and,
Yep.
and this game is on the line for them. They know what this game means to Michigan State. They're aware, and trust me, as an opposing player, you don't want Michigan State to have that. You don't want them to have anything over you. And I think mark.
Swing and a miss. Strikeout for Miller. Little pinch hit in place of Marissa Borkowski.
Ellefson, a really good pinch hitter to bring in for Maryland. 240 average. OPS of 709, 400 slug split. You'd like her average to go up a little bit with 2 outs, but
this one is grounded to lead, and the senior makes the final out in her final home game at Sekia Stadium, and Michigan State gets a very, very important upset win on this Sunday.